Hello, morning.
Hi, morning.
Yeah, Gary.
Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, morning. I heard you out of the country. I wasn't sure if you were back. I don't know if you flew out
Yeah,
because Manchester United lost a hard one yesterday, but that's not the reason I'm calling you.
yeah. That really hurts.
It hurt. It hurt. Well, sorry to
That was
this.
worse than any prime minister speak.
Oh Lord, that was worse than that. All right.
Yeah,
I just want to ask you something here very quickly because you would have experience, and this has been, a former national security minister and a former commissioner of police and somebody who is well, educated on these matters. I asked a question in the first hour to a couple of the callers, trying to establish who makes up the National Security Council. I got some answers. People were thinking, well, the chief of defense staff and the heads of the various security agencies. So who makes up the National Security Council?
yeah, sure. Okay. So the National Security Council is not part of our constitution. It is nothing more than a subcommittee that is specifically selected by cabinet. So they don't have any powers of authority or anything like that. So when you hear the prime minister always thumping his chest saying he's the chair of the National Security Council, that and nothing is the same thing. It's a subcommittee selected by cabinet. But the persons who represent the National Security Council would be the prime minister, who is the chair of the National Security Council, the minister of national security, the attorney general, and any other minister in cabinet that the prime minister may see fit at the time. So under the People's Partnership, we had about 9 persons. We had the Minister of Works, we had the Minister of Tourism. It may involve certain ministries that the prime minister may believe could be of value in policy-making decisions in the National Security Council. So the council has absolutely no powers of authority or directive or operational direction, in total contrast to the misleading perception by this prime minister when he continues every 2 minutes, I am the chair of the National Security Council. That and nothing means the same thing, but it gives him the perception that he can do what he wants and override authority. The heads of the protective services are not part of the National Security Council. What they are, however, they hold an advisory capacity in the National Security Council. So whenever there's a National Security Council meeting, they would be invited to attend and give advice, because the persons who usually comprise the National Security Council have absolutely no knowledge, training, or experience in the aspects of national security.
Wow. So okay. All right, just now, I know it's one question I called to ask you. That's all. Hold on, bear with me here for a second.
Sure.
Okay. Now in my mind, right? If you have a National Security Council, it's supposed to be made up of this is in my mind, right? Just tell me, I don't know, maybe I go in mad. It's supposed to be made up of people with expertise in terms of security, crime fighting, things of that nature. And it should be within their portfolio to come up with a plan to deal with the security issues that the nation is facing, including crime. Fitzgerald Hines said recently he is not, as the Minister of National Security, it is not his job to come up with a crime plan. All right? And then the Commissioner of Police presented a crime plan. Okay? Now, okay. So when we said in national, I want the public to understand this. When we said in National Security Council, I mean, shouldn't it be about that? About coming up with a plan and then liaising with the Commissioner of Police on a different level in order to provide the necessary resources that the police will need to deal with the crime situation?
Yeah, definitely. That's why Fitzgerald Hines is totally clueless. He's either incompetent or he just deliberately lies to the country, or a combination of both. That is what the National Security Council was formed for. So many politicians would have absolutely no knowledge in national security. And because of that, that is why the heads of the protective services fill the advisory capacity to educate and guide the politicians so that they can draft a proper framework in policy-making decisions, which, by the way, is what is considered an anti-crime plan. And that is where Fitzgerald Hines is totally lost, because if that is the reason, so the National Security Council, that is why sometimes the Prime Minister may invite the Minister of Sport, the Minister of Community Development, the Minister of Youth and Cultural Affairs, or whatever, believing that these ministries can act as a support element to assist in policy-making decisions to fight crime, which will be anti-crime plans. So Fitzgerald Hines has totally misled or lied to the country when he says the Ministry of National Security or the government has absolutely no involvement. The catalyst for crime reduction is the implementation of government policies, and that is done through the National Security Council with the support of the experts in national security being the heads of the protective services. So, for example, when the People's Partnership drafted the National Operations Center, I was the minister, but it required other elements in other ministries to assist in drafting that.
Okay.
And sometimes you were the Minister of Sport, and so that is what the National Security Council is formed for: policy making decisions. Unfortunately, this Prime Minister continued to believe that it gives him directions and decision making in operations. It can't. So there are two different things. The police they are involved in operations, but the policies are drafted from the National Security Council. So, example, when we form in the People's Partnership the Energy Sector Security Initiative, the National Security Special Operation Group, the Rapid Response Unit, the National Operations Center, the National Security Training Academy. All of these things were policies made by the National Security Council to assist in crime fighting, and we have the advisory capacity of the heads supporting them to ensure that they go in the right direction.
Okay, just finally here, finally, one more question. In terms of the Brent Thomas issue, the government has distanced itself from the situation. Now, as a former Minister of National Security and somebody has sat in a cabinet, question. 1 minute we heard it was a Defense Force aircraft. Then we heard it was a CARICOM aircraft. Now, either way, can a government distance itself from an aircraft leaving its airspace, entering into another country's airspace, landing and conducting an exercise which the judge saw to be illegal in the Brent Thomas matter? Can a government distance itself from that?
It is totally impossible. The Prime Minister has deceived, lied, or misled the country yet again. It is absolutely impossible. And I can go to the most simple situation. When I played hockey for Defense Force and I play hockey for police, if we have to go to Barbados to play a hockey game, or go to New York on a hockey tour, even a hockey match or a football game, you must get approval to leave the country through the Ministry of National Security. The Commissioner of Police of Trinidad and Tobago, when you swear that oath, you have the powers you have for policing is only within the borders of the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. So anytime a police officer has to leave, whether it is to go on a course, whether it is to go on a training exercise, whether it is to go on a joint operation, the Commissioner of Police does not have that authority to send any police officer outside the jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago. So Keith Rowley is either totally incompetent, clueless, lost, or he has lied deliberately to Trinidad and Tobago. Whichever one, you take it. Because and he's supposed to know this because he thumped his chest. He's the chair of the National Security Council. So the Commissioner of Police cannot send anyone outside of Trinidad and Tobago. And that's the most simple things as well. How you getting across there? You have to get an aircraft, an airline ticket. You have to get stipend. You have to get insurance. You have to get hotel accommodation. That can only be done through a cabinet note from the Ministry of National Security for it to be approved in cabinet to give the funding for that individual to leave the country. That's one. So the commissioner does not have that authority. Two, the commissioner cannot allow any police officer to leave outside Trinidad and Tobago, as I mentioned, because they don't only have authority within Trinidad and Tobago. So that is why you must get the approval from the government. Three, no police officer can be involved in any joint operation with any other law enforcement authorities outside the jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago without the full authority of the Trinidad and Tobago government. And four, the CARICOM, whether it's a CARICOM aircraft or a Defense Force aircraft, the Commissioner of Police has absolutely no authority to make such a request for the use of such an aircraft that does not even belong to Trinidad and Tobago. You must get the approval through the Ministry of National Security. Okay. So what Keith Rowley has done is blatantly misled the country. But what I've seen, Stefan, just to summarize to Trinidad and Tobago, this is what we are seeing. The government has become so totally out of control. He actually believes that by misleading the country, this will die a quiet death. The difference in this situation in comparison to the meritless is because the Barbados government is going to open this Pandora's box because Barbados has been heavily embarrassed because of this. The police force in Barbados have been involved, so they are now saying, wait a minute, we have been indirectly involved in aiding and abetting in a virtual kidnapping based on us being given wrong information. Commission. So what we have seen here has been going on for the last couple of years. We have seen the government trying to override the role and function of the Police Service Commission, causing the Police Service Commission to refer to the Prime Minister as being disgusted by his action, causing them to resign. We have seen the Prime Minister operating in a manner where he caused the president to break the law and causing her to leave in disgrace. We've seen them interfering with the merit list for Commissioner of Police to have someone be a virtual puppet of the Commissioner of Police. We've seen them attacking the performance of the DPP. We have now seen them criticizing and attacking the decisions made by the judiciary.
Yeah.
So we have now heard the Prime Minister virtually attacking half of the country by accusing the country of maybe being involved in terrorist activities through the bombings. Because when you attack the UNC, you attack virtually half the country. So this is what is happening now. You know, and the Brent Thomas situation is nothing more than a desperate attempt of lies, deceit, intimidation to target political opponents. And it has backfired. They have been using the FIU to be intercepting and digging up into the accounts of persons opposed to the government. They've been tapping phones of individuals. They've been hiring civilians to do investigations, pay them big money, and then give the report of lies and probably hide in Parliament. But that is why the court chased Keith Rowley like a dog and said, you cannot. This is what is going on in this country. And anybody who could be a supporter of individuals like this is the democratic dictatorship. And this situation with the Brent Thomas is just the tip of the iceberg.
All right. Well, Gary. Well, enjoy the rest of your stay outside of Trinidad and Tobago. You're not in Barbados, though.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
But and strange enough, the Prime Minister saying that he's going to Barbados. The man is in Mocha. I live in Mocha, and the man is in Mocha 4 days a week playing golf from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock odd. So this is not making any difference. You know, the man is usually on a 4-day weekend anyway. He's just doing it in Barbados, a 4 or 5 day weekend, I should say, because he spends more time on the golf course than in the Prime Minister's office.
Just a quick yes or no to this question here as I go. Are you still willing to meet with the Prime Minister and the opposition leader to get this crime situation out under control?
Yes, because I will always put country before politics, unlike Keith Rowley. Because when it is you try to put hatred and bitterness and ego before what is doing what is right for the country, you rather see the country drown in blood. I ask any citizen in this country, is that who you want to have lead this country? And the answer to those citizens has to be no.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for the time.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.